c'est Twitch, c'est YouTube. Hop, donc on se retrouve sur Par contre, ok d'accord, le son a diminué, ce qui était vachement fort quand j'ai lancé le jeu. Jamais je reste comme ça, mais je mets même pas Twitch sur mon téléphone. Hop. Voilà. Hop. Bon. On en était où déjà? Ah oui, c'est vrai, on avait laissé partir celui-là. Ok, il est en bonne santé pour l'instant. Ah mais ça avait pas sauvegardé à la fin parce que je crois que j'avais crash. Ouais, là on va avoir le dialogue.
Doctor, where have you been? I've little time to play hide and seek with new staff members, no matter how illustrious they may be.
I found a wounded man by the docks. He answers to the name of Clay Cox. He requires urgent medical attention.
Already making the rounds? That's the Pembroke spirit. I'll ask our porter, Milton, to bring him back immediately.
Thank you, nurse. What can I do for you?
Dr. Swansea insisted we provide you a quiet office. You'll find it on the second floor with your name on the door.
Thank you. Nurse Crane, isn't it?
Yes, Dorothy Crane. Welcome to Pembroke Hospital, Dr. Reed. Your office has been prepared.
Ok, 2 secondes. Je sais, c'est de la triche, mais j'ai utilisé le site web Génie.io pour avoir tout ce dont j'ai besoin pour en termes d'armes ou d'indices sur les... Surtout d'indices sur les citoyens. En espérant que ça ne fasse pas trop crash. Ah ouais, il demande une vérification. Depuis quand? Oui, on va voir. Je regarde juste les paramètres, mais... c'est chelou. Oh, le lecteur d'écran, ce message. Je verrai ça en off, mais ouais, c'est chelou. C'est pas grave, continue à me...
I would like to ask a few questions first.
Continue à m'envoyer des messages sur Discord. Je te répondrai sur Dini. Je parlais à mon pote Manson qui... Enfin, pote... Un ami streamer. Ok. Ok, en gros ton chat est réservé au compte vérifié. Ok, bah... je vais voir si je peux pas enlever ça. Je verrai après le live. Et désolé pour le crash.
And Mr. Hampton, the patient we brought in, how does he fare?
I gave him a sedative to help him sleep. Poor thing was in quite a state of shock.
If you could point me in the direction of my room again, nurse.
Second floor of the hospital, left after the stairs. It's the last vacant office at the end of the corridor.
What kind of man is Dr. Swansea?
Well, you accepted the job from him. I thought you would have known about your employer.
Apologies, I've only just met him the once. This is sudden. I've only just returned to England.
Dr. Swansea is a brilliant surgeon and the most compassionate physician.
It's right to assume Dr. Swansea knows far more about me than I do about him.
You'll get to know him soon enough, and better than me. The administrator has better things to do than mix with us.
Retour. Oh,
Thank you, Nurse Crane.
ok, niveau 2. Parle à toi.
Good evening, sir. I'm Dr. Jonathan Reed. I'm new here.
I've already heard about you, Dr. Reed. I'm Milton Hooks, the ambulance driver for this shithole of a hospital.
That's quite a blunt introduction, Mr. Hooks.
You can call me Milton. I like to speak my mind, Dr. Reed. Perk of the job. Don't judge me, and I won't judge you.
I'm not sure I understand what you're talking about.
Well, I'm no doctor, but I'm pretty sure a gun can't be used as a surgical instrument.
You have a keen eye. I learned to shoot during the war and have carried one ever since. Old habits die hard.
No need to explain, Dr. Reed. And if you ever need a better gun, remember, I may have something for you.
Je viens de voir sur mon chat, enfin sur Twitch, en fait c'est soit vérification de l'adresse mail, ah oui, et téléphone. Hop. Bah j'ai au moins mis l'adresse mail. Téléphone, je viens de le désactiver. Donc réessaye pour voir. Si ça fonctionne, ok, si ça fonctionne pas, c'est pas grave. Je désactiverai aussi l'authentification par mail.
How is the situation around here?
You want to hear the situation is all right? It's fucking awful. We lack everything, and it's getting worse every day.
Are you really smuggling weapons through the hospital?
And why not? I've already been attacked by patients, you know. And by gang members willing to steal my money.
But you're not defending yourself. You're selling guns to civilians.
You keep people alive your own way, Doctor. I offer them another way to protect their health.
So what do you do exactly in this hospital? Apart from smuggling guns.
Vous, ça fonctionne.
I've been an ambulance driver since... too long, I guess. I bring sick people here night and day. It's a dirty job, but I get it done. Most of the time.
Ok, alors attention. Je vais juste actualiser sur Streamlabs. Parce qu'en fait, sur mon téléphone, genre, il affiche tes messages. Ici. Voilà. Alors que sur Streamlabs, il me les affichait pas. J'ai dû réactualiser le Streamlabs.
Since you're on the front line, how is the sanitary situation in this vicinity?
It's a complete disaster. It's even getting dangerous to enter some streets or buildings. Even the locals attack you.
It sounds like things have been a bit rough recently. What's happened?
Yesterday I got attacked by the patient I was bringing here. I escaped through the hospital's garden, but I lost my wallet when I was running.
You left an infected patient outside the hospital. That's incredibly dangerous.
Go there yourself if you want, but be careful, Doctor. I'd rather not bring your dead body back.
Ok.
I'd like to see your goods.
Wise choice, Dr. Reed. A reliable gun is what everybody needs these days.
Donc je suis désolée si si à côté vous entendez du bruit, c'est mon voisin qui fait des travaux. Ok. Avant de faire tout le monde, je vais faire sa fameuse quête de...
Dr. Swansea is right. This place seems perfect to conduct my research.
A trouvé son putain de portefeuille. Ah ok, j'écrirai pas en gros, car j'écoute la game Howard en même temps. Mais je reste sur ton live. Oh merci, c'est gentil.
Scowl voices in the garden. I should investigate. If they were to find something...
Ok.
Good evening, nurse.
Good evening, Doctor.
And I'm Dr.
Well, it's a euphemism that your help will be appreciated, Doctor.
How would you describe the situation at the Pembroke Hospital?
It's serious. The flu is wreaking havoc amongst the staff and patients. We are running out of everything.
You must get a hold of yourself, nurse.
Sorry, I'm exhausted. No one has any idea when this epidemic will be over.
Nurse Hawkins, the Spanish flu won't last forever. Even the Black Plague didn't kill everyone.
I wish I could believe you. But what if this epidemic was worse? What if in the end, nobody was spared?
How long have you been a nurse?
Or long enough to see that the epidemic is winning. And no matter how qualified you are, don't tell me you'll change that.
You'd be surprised what dedication can achieve, Nurse Hawkins. In medicine, sometimes we're just a test result away from a miracle.
Sorry, Doctor. I don't want to sound bitter, but I'm just too tired to give a pep talk like Nurse Brannigan.
How is the Pembroke staff coping with the epidemic?
Well, not well. Milton, the ambulance driver, is even more grumpy than usual, especially concerning doctors.
Why is Milton grumpy on a daily basis? Is it just an act?
Milton's not the kind of man who's bothered about a bad reputation, whether he deserved it or not.
Okay.
Why does Milton dislike doctors?
I don't know. Just ask him. But be warned, Milton is not the chatty type.
Goodbye, nurse. Good evening, Milton.
Good evening, Doctor. Still trying to save lives?
I have some good news, Milton.
What? The epidemic's over?
I retrieved your wallet with all the money and a certain picture.
Well, yeah, Pippa Hawkins is my girl. So what? Is it the difference of skin colour that bothers you?
Not at all, Milton.
Good. Please, take this money anyway. To remind you to keep your mouth shut. Not everybody is as broad-minded as you, Dr. Reed.
Why do you have such a mediocre reputation among your colleagues, Milton?
Fuck them. Nobody knows the horrors I've seen since working here. This city was sick long before the epidemic, Dr. Reed.
I know it's a difficult task, but correct me if I'm wrong. Is this not the job you are paid to do?
I've seen babies left to die while their brothers were properly fed. Underage girls and boys sold to all manner of perverts.
I'm sorry, I don't know what to say.
Yeah, exactly. We lack words. So excuse me if I don't look on the bright side of life.
What's going on between you and Nurse Hawkins?
Pippa's tired. Tired of all this shit. Tired of all those corpses piling up. She's as depressed as I am.
You do realize you could both get fired. Hospital staff are not meant to have intimate relationships with one another.
Come on, Dr. Reed. Do you know how many rules are broken in this hospital every day just to keep it running? There's nothing wrong with what we're doing.
During the war, I witnessed a few couples just like you come together in difficult circumstances. It can be very damaging.
Maybe you're right. But we support each other. And that's all that matters.
Goodbye, Milton. Good evening, sir.
So it is true. The famous Dr. Reed has joined us. I can't think of any better news during these terrible times.
Do we know each other?
Actually, yes. We met once before, at the Rockefeller University in New York.
Dr. Tippett, yes, I remember. I was assisting Professor Carell in his research about coronary bypasses. He had nothing but praise for you.
He was also very confident about your future. And look at you now. Eminent surgeon and blood transfusion specialist.
What is the Pembroke Hospital situation? And please, speak freely.
This hospital is not exactly the best of London. I'm sure you are used to working in a better environment.
It's more than enough. In any case, the personnel of a hospital are much more important to me than the building.
Don't be misled by appearances, Dr. Reed. This hospital does not lack talented people. It just lacks hope.
What can you tell me about the staff in the hospital?
Some are really good, and others are not so good. But during this troubled period, there is no time for slander. I prefer to focus on the positive character traits.
Tell me more about cherished people, then.
Nurse Brannigan is a pearl. She is the most helpful and dedicated nurse I've ever worked with. A clever and cheerful woman.
You really seem to admire her skills.
I'll go even further. If she was a man, she would be a damn fine practitioner.
Any opinion about the management?
I don't always agree with Dr. Swansea's reserve, but I must admit he does all he can to keep this facility running during this crisis.
Ah, yes, the burden of command. I was fed up with this concept while serving as a medical officer.
Don't get me wrong. Swansea's a good administrator. I just wish he would get out of his office down again.
Goodbye, Dr. Tippett. Good evening, nurse.
Ouais,
I'm
le
Dr.
jeu est
Jonathan
surtout
Reed,
axé
the new
très,
surgeon here at the Pembroke.
Dr. Swansea has already
Très
told
dialogue.
us about you, sir. I'm Nurse Gwyneth Brannigan. Welcome to the Pembroke Hospital.
Did he really? It's a good thing I wasn't hoping to keep a low profile.
All members of staff have already read about your new blood transfusion technique. Dr. Swansea made sure of that.
I see. Well, I'm a little surprised, but I suppose I'll just have to deal with this unexpected notoriety.
You must know, blood transfusions are Dr. Swansea's primary subject of research. He is convinced it is the future.
How are things here?
Not good, to say the least. We're struggling against an invisible enemy, more lethal than any bullet from a gun. It's hard, Doctor.
An invisible enemy? Quite a poetic term for a disease, especially from a nurse.
Sorry, Doctor. These last few weeks have been exhausting. We could all do with a good night's sleep.
Do you think this hospital can survive the epidemic?
We are all volunteers here, and we're trying to hold fast, but how do we beat an invisible killer? Some nurses have already resigned.
I'm not familiar with all the staff yet. Perhaps you could help me.
Brilliant professionals, most of them. Dr. Swansea has a gift for recruiting talent.
Most of them. Is there a problem I should know about, nurse?
It would be inappropriate for me to speak ill of a colleague.
Is there anyone that stands out?
Well, I have never met someone as dedicated as Dr. Tippett's. He should be a standard for us all here. If only he were younger.
Why should his age be a problem?
I guess it's fair to say he's always pushing himself to the limits. He just doesn't know when to stop and get some rest.
Nurse Brannigan, if you do know something, please tell me. Anything you say will be held in confidence.
No, I may disagree with some conduct, but in the end, everybody is doing their best.
Why does Dr. Tippett claim you're the main reason he keeps working, despite his fatigue?
If it wasn't for him, I probably would have left the Pembroke years ago.
Dr. Tippett does not think of you as just a nurse anymore, does he?
If you're suggesting he's not taking my gender into consideration when it comes to medical practice and knowledge, I really hope he doesn't.
Goodbye, nurse. Call me if you need assistance. Good evening, Nurse Hawkins.
Good evening, Dr. Reed.
Pepper, I know you're very close to Milton Hooks.
Yes, Milton Hooks is my man. If you want to report me for that, just feel free, Doctor.
I have no intention of reporting you, Nurse Hawkins. But are you aware of the risks?
The rules say I won't be allowed to work as a nurse anymore. But here at the Pembroke, we break rules all the time.
Is he worth the risk?
Hey, I'm no perfect woman, and Milton is not the finest bloke. But we do our best to get by. That's all any of us can hope for nowadays.
Goodbye, Nurse Hawkins. Good evening, sir. Can I help you?
Unless you're here to fix my face. No. I don't think you can help me.
I'm Dr. Reed. I've recently taken the position of head surgeon here. War injuries, am I right?
You guessed right, Doctor. German shell took my pretty little mug right off. But they still call me Thomas Elwood.
How is your stay with us, Mr. Elwood?
Oh, it's bliss. I just escaped death in the trenches to be surrounded again by the moans of the dying.
Can I ask you precisely why you're a patient here?
It's the pain, sir. The drugs don't work. It just hurts under the scars, if you get my drift.
Can I do anything for your pain?
Nurses gave me a bunch of pills. No effect. Told you. It's like the flames are under my skin, burning away.
Who is treating you? Is someone in particular looking after your case?
Nobody since the old and tired doctor spoke to me. Started to think I was forgotten about. Won't blame you.
You don't seem worried by that.
My face hurts so much more when I smile or cry. I've learned it's easier not to speak. But be assured I'm smiling inside.
Where were you stationed, sir? Did you serve for long?
I really don't want to talk about all this shit.
No offense. I was pushing too much. I served in France myself. I just wanted to know what happened to you.
You were an officer, weren't you? Then I doubt we fought the same war, sir. No offense.
Goodbye for now, Mr. Elwood. Good evening, Mr. Hampton. How do you feel?
Dr. Reed, is it? Oh, sir, I must apologize for my behavior.
What do you mean?
I was not myself in the factory. Fear and exhaustion made me say awful things to you, I'm afraid.
You remained perfectly nice and polite. A little delirious, perhaps. But who wouldn't be after enduring an abduction?
Thank you, Doctor. That's a relief. Now all I need to do is rest and return to my flock.
How did you end up in William Bishop's den?
I had received alarming news about his recent behavior. I went to his place and he refused to let me go.
Why did he abduct you?
William was an alcoholic. His addiction suddenly changed to blood. I don't know why. Just like a patient I met here. This Miss Hawcroft.
You dared to enter this awful place alone. You're a hero, Mr. Hampton. Or a fool.
I'm just a man trying to help his friends, Dr. Reed. William Bishop was a conflicted soul, searching for light.
What is the general situation in the East End docks?
The situation has always been tough, with a lot of tensions between the gangs and the Dockers trade union. The Wet Boot Boys are very nervous since they lost their leader.
Who leads the gang now?
Since Clay Cox went missing, it's his wife Edwina who runs the show, with the assistance of her minion, Booth Digby.
Has the gang been threatening you?
Ah, no. I've had this nickname for so long, you know, the sad saint of the East End. No one dares to bug a saint, not even criminals.
Do you know Tom Watts, the bartender from the Turtle? I met him before I found you in the canning factory.
Tom? Yes, of course. Always the helping hand, good old Tom. Without men like him, corruption and despair would have wiped out the East End long ago.
People are still in despair.
How could it be otherwise? The authorities have left us all to rot in this contagious nightmare. No drugs, no advice, nothing. It's a damn shame.
Who should I avoid in this part of town, then? Any particularly evil figures?
Not really. Most men and women are just doing their best. And it's not my habit to speak ill of people I know, Doctor.
Have you made friends since you arrived?
Not really. But I recognize Miss Harriet Jones. I knew her when she lived by the docks. That poor woman had such a miserable life.
You never came to see her here at Pembroke? Receiving visits when sick can be an important part of the healing process, you know. We're not just bodies.
You're preaching to the converted now, Doctor. To be truly honest, I thought she was dead. She left the docks many months ago.
What do you do for a living, Mr. Hampton? I can't help but notice the cross around your neck.
I manage a night asylum for the poor and homeless of the docks. And I try to guide the lost and hesitant on the right path to our Lord.
Are you a priest, Mr. Hampton? A deacon, maybe?
Not at all, Doctor. I'm just a man of faith willing to preach the good word.
Why didn't you use your cross against William Bishop? To repel him somehow?
That's a very strange question, Doctor. A cross is no magical token, if that's what you were trying to say. Not mine, anyway.
Magique. Il m'a tué. Un rocher magique.
How do you feel, Mr. Hampton? Medically speaking, I mean.
I feel exhausted. Beyond exhaustion, actually. William drank so much of my blood in his madness. I feel empty.
You're in good hands here. Dr. Swansea is well versed in blood transfusion, and I'm sure he'll take the best care of you.
Thank you, sir. I believe all I need is rest. And then I can go back to the people who need me.
Goodbye, Mr. Hampton. We'll talk again later. Good evening, miss. I'm Dr. Reed, the new surgeon at the Pembroke Hospital. And who are you?
Your name has no meaning to me, mortal. You're nothing but dust blown by the winds of eternity.
I beg your pardon?
What are you begging for, mortal? My clemency? Well, tonight maybe I'm inclined to mercy. You'll never forget the night you met Thelma Howcroft.
You keep calling me mortal. Why is that? And if I'm mortal, what are you?
Well, Dr. Reed, if you must know, I'm a vampire.
Ah, d'accord. Elle se prend pour un vampire.
And why do you believe you're a vampire?
I don't need to believe anything. It is what I am. It is what I feel within this hollow shell of flesh.
Please, describe to me how you feel. What is it like to be a vampire?
I can hear my body crumble from the inside as my flesh cracks and fades. I sense the last pulse of pustulant blood within my drying veins. I need new blood.
I see. Have you ever heard of Cotard syndrome, Miss Howcroft?
Never.
It's a mental illness discovered by a French neurologist named Jules Cotard. The affected patients are delusional. They believe that they are putrefying, that they are dead, a ghost or a ghoul, or in your case, a vampire.
Delusional, you say? Oh, sad and petty mortal. You can't even begin to understand the concept of immortality. And you think it is I who am delusional.
assuming you must be a patient here. Am I right, Miss Howcroft?
It's only a cover. To hide from my enemies. I can leave whenever I want. As a woman, a spirit, fog, or bat.
Who are these enemies you mentioned? Can you describe them?
I cannot
Ça
say
sent la
much,
quête secondaire.
but I sense their eyes on me from nearby. I feel them watching me every time I visit the garden near the morgue.
The staff here are not your enemy. They're here to help you, to care for you.
I'm not speaking of the doctors in white. I'm speaking of the men and women who hunt me. For I am a vampire.
I see. Don't worry. These people will not find you here. I'll personally make sure they leave you alone.
Thank you, mortal. But do not interfere with them, for you are no match for those that hunt me.
C'est une quête.
Who are you really, Miss Howcroft? I mean, apart from being a vampire.
Is that not enough for you, puny mortal? What do you require? Proof of my powers?
I'm curious to know who you were before becoming a vampire.
It was such a long time ago, I don't remember. Centuries of unholy life can have strange effects on one's minds, you see?
I'll leave you, Mistress of the Dark, to your nocturnal activities.
Il y a tellement de dialogue à voir.
Good evening, sir. I'm Dr. Reed. I believe we're...
Reed? Yes, I've been informed about your arrival. I'm Waverly Ackroyd. Welcome aboard, I suppose.
Does my arrival in...
Let us just say that I don't particularly share Dr. Swans's enthusiasm for hiring you. What we need here are reliable professionals, not overrated dabblers.
If you have a problem with me, Dr. Ackroyd, please feel free to tell me.
Dr. Swansea has imposed your presence on this hospital without asking anyone's advice. The benefit of his position. But I don't agree with it.
I know we've never met before, but I believe this hospital could use all the help it can get. You will agree with that, I'm sure.
Oh, but I have heard about you, Dr. Reed. Of course, you can't say the same about me, since I have not wasted my time courting the press.
There is no need for such animosity between us. Don't you think the epidemic is already enough to deal with?
That is one point we could agree on. And that is precisely why I want to be sure that you will be of help to this hospital instead of a burden.
Since your tenure in this hospital is longer than mine, perhaps you can tell me more about this place.
Let's just say I'm tired of the carelessness around me. I have always respected the skills of Dr. Swansea, but over time his enthusiasm has become displaced.
Carelessness? Exactly what are you talking about?
We're here to save lives. The people who trust us are not volunteering for experimentation. They're here to be healed.
I don't intend to run any radical experiments, Doctor. Even if I, as any good practitioner should, express an interest in pushing the boundaries of medical research.
Modern medical methods were created through audacity and ego. But there are rules in our line of work, and they're here to protect our patients.
It seems you have bad memories of your military service.
I refuse to see this industrial slaughter as scientific progress. War only reveals the worst in men.
We can at least agree on something, Dr. Ackroyd. I don't know what you've heard about me, but I have already proved my value as a practitioner.
I don't question your skills, Dr. Reed, but your motive. Is it money, fame, or are you truly dedicated?
And what exactly is that supposed to mean?
I served in the war just like you. But unlike you, I did not use the wounded to play the modern sorcerer.
Be careful what you insinuate, Dr. Ackroyd.
I only want you...
Ah, désolé, beaucoup trop de...
This is ridiculous. My blood transfusion...
You see?
Trop de
That
dialogue,
is
je skip.
Thank you for your time.
Ok. Putain.
But in the circumstances, I'm willing to give you the benefit of the doubt.
My sweet girl. Reads me like a book. Never gonna be married.
Good evening, sir.
I don't know if
I see.
I'm half.
Je skip, vous mettrez sur pause. J'en peux plus des dialogues.
Tell me about.
I'm just a
I was more.
I'm a.
Well, I won't. You know. Tell me.
Plus trop de
Strickland,
dialogue.
What do you mean?
I off.
Goodbye for now, Mr. Fiddy.
My sweet girl. Reads me like a book.
Oh. Si je me souviens bien, c'est là. Non. Ah. Pas assez rapide. C'est un jeu narratif. Ouais, mais trop de dialogues tue les dialogues.
I'm alright. Don't waste your time with me.
How can we be sure?
Good evening.
No,
Really?
I don't want to talk.
I suppose.
Yes.
Could you at least?
Mort.
How
So painful.
I'll let.
But in the circumstances,
Non, je vais,
Doctor.
je vais discuter
Good
avec
evening,
lui.
madam.
it's my.
I'm Dr. John.
I'm Beatrice.
What can?
Not much to. I'm a
Are you?
Yes,
What do you?
I have had
Is there something in particular?
some of.
Tell me more about your arrival at the Pembroke Hospital. What gave you such a bad first impression?
The ambulance driver was quite rude, for a start. And that nurse, Miss Hawkins, seems to have quite a dubious attitude.
What do you mean?
She managed to secure a bed for my son despite the epidemic. It was a relief, but it wasn't cheap.
She charged.
Yes. I don't expect.
Goodbye, Mrs.
How can we be sure we're making a difference?
Good evening, Mr.
I'm okay.
How?
So,
I'm
not really.
I see.
Yes, maybe.
Why?
My mother just wants.
Pem-
It's not me.
Is your
That's tempting.
Tell me.
I don't want to talk.
Fatigue.
I have to.
I'm alright. Don't waste your time with me.
You always knew the words to calm the children, Ellen. As for me, what a blundering idiot.
I'm quite busy, right?
C'est pas le bon.
Thank you for your time.
I'm willing to give you the benefit of the doubt.
Good evening, Doctor.
I will not let you
Dr. Reed. I am thorough strict.
Please, could you?
I'm a great admirer of your...
What made you choose to be a?
I'm not ashamed to admit you and your work have...
It's all.
This epidemic may be the century's most...
I based.
I'd rather not talk about it. For now, it's just...
As long as you're cautious and.
You're not the first one to...
What can you?
Well, it has always...
You seem.
I'm convinced that this epidemic...
Questions remain.
True, true.
Do you need help with anything in?
Well, yes, maybe.
Do you want me to play the errand boy for you?
Oh, no, Dr. Reed.
I see. Well, give me the address, for I may pass. What do you think of Dr. Ackroyd?
It's a shame he's so narrow-minded. Dr. Swansea taught me that science is about exploring uncharted territory. I'm convinced that's true.
With the influenza and all that's going on,
I believe that if Dr. Ackroyd had been the one to discover the transfusion process, he would be the first to recommend its use.
So you believe it's just a question of jealousy and pride?
Dr. Ackroyd is as proud as he is blinded by his obsolete concept of medical science.
Tell me more about your willingness to experiment with new medical techniques.
Harvey Fiddick is a patient suffering from a severe injury that could cripple him if not treated correctly. I'm convinced your blood transfusion technique could help him.
What is it you really want? To save him, or to prove your point?
Fair question. I want nothing but to save my patient, Dr. Reed. Especially since I know Mr. Fiddick's story.
Tell me Mr. Fiddick's story.
Our first diagnosis was compromised because Mr. Fiddick lied to us about the real origin of his injury. He first claimed it was an accident.
But why would he hide such crucial information from us?
Because he is a proud father, ashamed of putting his children at risk because of his own negligence.
This personal involvement could also appear to be a lack of impartiality.
I agree.
Do you think keeping his distance?
All I know is that I'm...
Goodbye.
Ok, c'est le dernier.
Thelma Howcroft said she was being watched by vampire hunters. Where are they hiding? I should investigate. Oh, Mr. Hooks and Nurse Hawkins are an item. Those two have hidden these men. They're a company of professional vampire hunters. Good evening. I'm Dr.
Always a pleasure to meet a
colleague.
Not anymore, sir.
What do you mean?
No, sir.
Are you afraid?
Why should I?
An interesting point of...
Sir.
How did you get...
After I left the army.
Do you work here alone?
Yes, very easy work, sir.
Why do you have to walk?
Because these poor...
Why close the hospital's main morgue?
It was for...
Have we met before?
I don't think so, sir.
When we first talked, you said you were glad to meet me since...
Funny story, sir. Your sister came here a few nights ago. You were missing, and she was looking for your body.
La fameuse sœur qu'on a butée au tout début du jeu.
A pawnbroker? I expect you get all types of people here.
Yes, sir. All kind of people. For I sell all kind of goods.
Who comes here to trade with you? It's very unhygienic, even unsafe. Diseases can spread. For the customers, for the hospital.
I'm very cautious, sir. I've been a doctor, remember? And all my clients are good people. In fact, I think I only know good people.
What kind of goods?
With the quarantine, it's not always easy to buy things. So I trade, I exchange. Some people sell, some others buy. I like to help.
Since you're not afraid of dying, do you believe in life after death, Rakesh?
No. I believe we must do all the good we can while alive. For our time is short, and the obstacles are endless.
Do you think you would enjoy immortality as a concept?
I don't think so. Don't mistake me. I love life, and I'd like to live a long life. But everything has to decay, sir. Even goodwill.
So you're ready to die?
No, I am not. I don't...
You're a wise man.
No, Dr. Reed.
Do you really believe?
As I said, sir.
Quite depressing.
Yes.
Please show me what you...
Of course. Tomorrow, more bodies will arrive and then sadly depart.
How can I be sure I'll not find your unconscious body in the house again?
I promise you, you'll not find my unconscious body.
For God's sake, how can you say such a thing?
How can you refuse to listen? I tried to warn you for so long.
No, I won't let my only son die. You promised me you'll stay alive.
Your son lied to you, like the whole world lies to us.
Ok, donc il a tenté de se suicider. Elle va parce qu'elle est planquée. Trouver mon bureau au premier étage.
It's locked, all right.
Ok. On va juste rediscuter avec certains patients.
It's here again.
Good evening, Mr. Elwood.
Evening, Doc.
Why do you feel responsible for the...
I wasn't disfigured by any German shells. It happened during my leave. It was an accident.
Why lie about it?
Come on. It's one thing to come back disfigured by the Germans, and it's another to get injured in an accident that could have happened to anybody.
Reconstructive surgery has been very successful for...
I don't want to wear a bloody mask for the rest of my life. I'd rather stay here.
Non. Oh, fais chier. J'ai pris un indice.
Tell me, what...
I went with a halt.
Did you stop?
No.
How close are you to Miss Horcroft?
To wait for her next nibble is the best reason to stay.
Aren't you afraid? She may hurt you if the game goes too far.
She's quite harmless, I can assure you.
So do you let her...
And why not?
She could
And it's enough. You in her madness.
Ça me fait chier, j'ai perdu un indice avec lui, donc du coup, je vais pas être niveau 100 max.
Goodbye for now.
Fear and disgust on every street corner.
This must be the place. It's definitely away from prying eyes. Relegated to the shadows. A kingdom of my own. At least I won't be sleeping in a coffin. The flower's dying. It needs water.
Ok. Putain, il me faut de la quinine et de la solution.
William Bishop's blood is much more unstable than human blood and shows extensive mutation. But this is not what happened to me. I must keep on searching. The sun is about to rise. I can feel it. I'll continue tomorrow night. I have so much time now.
De nouveaux trucs. Voile d'ombre activé, vous utilisez.
If I'm to stay here until my research is complete, I'd better learn to hide my true nature from the mortals. But what about my thirst for blood?
I'm not one to make wait, Doctor. I've patients to attend.
Yes, Nurse Crane? How can I...
I'm so sorry. I know Dr. Swansea wanted...
A crisis, you...
Our supply of antiseptics is nearly depleted.
Nurse?
Of course, Doctor.
I may have a solution.
However do you mean?
If combined correct...
The storeroom!
Perhaps I should look there.
It's the large building behind...
The abandoned morgue behind...
Fatigue, fatigue. Ok, c'est juste à côté.
It's locked.
C'est verrouillé. Il fait rien lui. semble que lui il fait un truc, mais je suis pas sûre. Il peut pas bouger, hein. J'aime bien, ils m'ont rien loot. Je vais essayer. Niveau 18. J'ai clairement pas le niveau. Même lui, je pourrais pas en fait.
It's locked, all right.
Ok. J'avais un numéro qui m'appelait. Non, c'est de l'autre côté.
fortifiers. As popular as they are ineffective. But they do contain iron tartrate, and that might prove itself useful. Behavior is similar to the infected William Bishop. Must be the same strain. This sickness moves faster than influenza. It's locked.
Ah oui, la quinine. J'en ai combien? Oh, j'en ai qu'une seule. Il m'en faut 2. Chier.
This key will surely grant me access to the basement.
Bon, il me manque plus que 2 trucs pour faire 2 potions de fatigue.
These scowls feed from corpses and the husks of animals. They're not after blood. Mr. Connor's injurers don't match the report. I'd better look into this. Traces of a pinkish foam at the corner of the lips. Some sort of drug overdose, perhaps? The chest was originally open to perform the operation. The sutures are clean, but the chest has been reopened. Multiple abrasions and scarring on the arms and legs. Old and distinctive injuries of a sailor or a fisherman. A puncture over the left lung, possibly a chest tube insertion. Not the cleanest work, but I think it was successful. Signs of internal bleeding. So, Dr. Tippett's anesthetics were incorrectly dosed, causing the patient's death. And then, he tried to operate on him again. Tippett has made an egregious error. It's time we talked. I'm not sure I can defeat them without becoming stronger. To drink blood is so tempting.
Sodium hypochlorite. Dangerous to administer, but efficient in the proper dosage.
Je peux faire qu'un seul. Oh, je peux en faire. Non, un seul. Faut deux pour l'instant. Voire trois, mais. Putain, c'est pas là. Non, j'ai crevé. Non. Putain. Salopard. Ok, ça sauvegarde. viens par là.
Good evening.
Dr. Reed.
And why is that?
People who don't sleep at night always seem more alone.
Do you ever...
The wounded. What a surprise.
What did he...
I read...
Perhaps...
If there must...
How is...
This is just shit.
What?
That bar...
I see.
The nurses...
What's...
Come on.
But you're alive...
What do you expect?
How long do you think you can escape the law?
I know this shit.
We can't just...
I ain't afraid.
And who...
I'm the lead.
You're lucky to be alive.
This place is full of sickness.
Consider yourself lucky.
Don't play the innocent with me.
Okay.
I'll leave you. Good evening, nurse.
Good evening, Doc.
Tell me what Dr. Tippett did. I know his mistake caused a patient's death.
If I had not covered up his error, Dr. Tippett would have been fired from this hospital. I could not let that happen.
You can't allow your emotions to dictate your conduct concerning patients, Nurse Brannigan.
Look around you, Doctor.
I can't say
I'm not proud of what I've done, but to contain the...
Goodbye, nurse. Good evening, Dr. Tippett.
Dr. Reed, any good news?
You're exhausting yourself.
No. We must keep on healing all those...
Nurse Brannigan is...
She should not have told you that.
You don't have to blame her for...
I'm not that kind.
Corcoran, I want you to tell me about Mr. Connor. How did he die? What happened?
He was my patient. He died because of my mistake. That's the blunt truth.
What was the nature of the mistake?
It was a twofold error. My diagnosis was wrong, and the administered dosage was too strong.
Why not stop practicing?
Are you mad? I killed that man, I admit it, and it won't happen again. I have saved so many lives since then.
Who was this patient?
I don't know. Some sick man from the docks, maybe a fisherman. I had no time to talk with him. No one claimed a body.
I will cover for you, Dr. Tippett.
I don't know.
You didn't force me. This is my decision.
Then I can make you this...
What will you do after your resignation? Do you...
I always fancied visiting Cyprus. Such a beautiful isle.
J'ai tous les indices. Dans ce fin.
Goodbye, Doctor.
Je crois savoir où c'est. Là où je me suis tapé la dernière fois, là. Et quand il monte... Enfin, je crois. Oui, il monte. Est-ce qu'il va là ou dans une pièce proche de mon bureau? Ok, ok, voilà. C'est pas du tout discret.
Damn it! Why is this so difficult every time? That is better. That is better. I will make it through one more night.
D'accord. Je vais aller le voir. Hein.
Good evening, Dr. Tim.
Dr. Reed.
I know you're taking drugs, Corcoran. Why take such a risk?
I need it to endure the long shifts. We have no idea how long the epidemic will last. We can't let it win.
I understand.
Thank you for your understanding, my dear colleague. And be assured.
Ouais, j'ai tous les indices. Faut que je le soigne lui aussi.
Goodbye.
J'en ai fait deux parce qu'il y en a un qui est ici et un dans cette zone. J'ai d'abord donné à lui. Cette zone-là, on la fera plus tard quand on aura. Quand on devra y aller encore une fois.
You don't mind if I search your pockets, do you, sir? You won't need any of these anyway. I'm not stealing from you, mister. I'm only redistributing your belongings to people who need them more than you. You see, no one has claimed your body, sir, so it would be such a shame to bury you with your valuables. I will not forget you, sir, and I thank you for your generous donation.
It's locked.
Good evening.
How dare you you steal from the dead, Rakesh. Is that what you...
These people are dead, sir. What they possessed could be...
You should show respect.
The bodies I watch over are the unwanted and undesired, sir.
A pawnbroker?
Yes, sir.
Goodbye, Mr.
Tomorrow, more bodies will arrive and then sadly depart.
Good evening, Mr. Fiddick.
Good evening, Dr. Reed.
Tell me about your injury, Harvey.
What? My wife died because of me. And now I'm...
How could your...
I was working at that...
You...
Of course I didn't hurt myself.
Tell me...
1915. I was in the army. Building workshops for...
What happened?
The Germans sent Zeppelins to bomb the construction site, but they missed their target. My wife was bringing my dinner when the bombs fell.
I'm sorry.
I would like to say that she didn't...
How are your children?
They were smaller then.
Goodbye for now.
My sweet girl. Reads me like a book. Never could keep anything from her.
Good evening, Mr.
I'm okay.
Admit it, Mortimer.
Yes, it's true.
All right, then.
Call it what you want, Dr. Reed.
You can try...
I guess I should thank you.
Can I help?
I wrote a letter.
I see.
Yes.
Do you need any help?
I'm afraid I may, sir.
You are not a burden.
And you have my gratitude.
I have to go now.
Good evening, Doctor.
Your son wished to die.
Are you not aware suicide is a crime? Mortimer could be thrown...
I understand you fear...
All my son needs is...
Goodbye, Mrs.
How long must I wait?
Finally, you've returned, Doctor. Did you find anything of value?
Yes.
You've worked your...
Duty calls?
Many thanks, Doctor.
Right to disapprove of our methods, and you will kindly apologize when you're feeling better.
I'm all right. Don't waste your time with me.
Dr. Reed, may...
What can you
Everyday folk don't know how...
News on the front...
It seemed to be for...
What can you tell me?
This hospital was...
Can you be more specific?
Well, veterans.
For how long?
I first volunteered.
And before you arrived?
If you must know.
Well, Dr. Swan...
Not in an official...
How is the duty?
Everybody works until they can't.
What about medical...
Dr. Reed...
I'll see you...
How can we be sure we're making it?
Good evening.
And good evening to you.
Goodbye, Doc.
I'm all right. Don't waste your time with me.
I'm quite busy.
Tell me, Waverley, what do you think?
Strickland is playing with his patients' lives for pride and glory.
Are you thinking about something in particular?
Harvey Fiddick.
Why do you wish...
I strongly believe that...
I really hope you...
I'm not the kind of man who runs...
And are you not afraid?
Rivalry? I guess you could call it that.
Thank you for...
You like a book? Never. Keep anything from her.
Good evening,
Good evening.
Tell me why you're
If a patient wants a bed, he'll have to pay me a little fee. That's all. Funny you should ask.
Admit it.
Of course she is. How else could I tell which bed is free?
Have you no shame?
Don't you see the...
Goodbye.
Peut-être elle.
Good evening.
Evening.
Goodbye for now, Mr. Elwood.
Disgust on every street corner. The daily routine.
I cannot enter.
Peut-être au-dessus là. Yeah, c'était ça.
Please, Jonathan, come in. Fascinating, is it not? In the last decade, so many mysteries have been brought to light with our microscopes. The human body, biology's penultimate frontier. The more we explore its boundaries, the less we're able to trace a clear line between life and death. You, my friend, have a foot in both countries. The view must be vertiginous.
It's at least as vertiginous as chatting about vampires with you, I would say.
This must be all so new to you. This area of town, the hospital.
I wish I could share your enthusiasm, Dr. Swansea. But my condition defies scientific categorization. Undead? Unalive? Immortal...
I cannot express my thrill at this serendipitous...
It may seem...
Forgive me. I've...
Lui est déjà niveau max.
I'm not some doe...
Very well.
Please.
The Pembroke only survives through the generosity of our benefactors.
A spokesman or politician is what you need.
That discretion is in order, Jonathan.
And you would like me...
By the stole, of course not. I would just like you to pay her a visit.
Accepted. I'll see what kind of...
C'est bon, j'ai tout.
Do you need something?
I have...
Then ask her.
You mentioned some...
Certainly. I've been a member...
That explains your...
I feel it wasn't mere coincidence.
Yet you don't...
The Brotherhood has studied your kind...
Since I'm the one working...
Well, for many years we have been...
Where do we stand?
Well, to be honest, we...
What do you expect?
What we need is hope.
Since you seem...
As men of science... You will find there is...
Must...
You are a vamp?
The man we pursued and...
He was a Skull.
Where do...
The name means slay.
Just for clarity.
A Skull is easier to eliminate.
We'll see each other again.
C'était dehors.
I met him in New York once.
If only there were more of us, with less resignation and more determination.
The flu took my dear wife, Emily. I take comfort knowing we'll soon be together again.
Mr. Rainfield, that's no way to talk. You're in good hands here, and we'll be up again soon enough. Now do me a kindness and get some sleep. I'll be back round later.
Your words are kind, the blessings of an angel. You're the sweet, sweet Lady of Mercy.
Good evening, Dr. Reed. It's a pleasure to see you again. You seem surprised. Dr. Swansea has brought me up to speed concerning your recent appointment to Pembroke Hospital.
You're a vamp... The lady who saved me that night, before vanishing into thin air. I remember you from the pub with Dr. Swansea.
Indeed. Allow me to introduce myself formally this time. My name is Lady Ashbury. I remember you well, in spite of the brevity of our encounter.
Apologies. You've taken me by surprise. I'm very happy to see you.
The pleasure is mine, Doctor.
I hope you're more disposed to answer my questions now.
You must have countless questions, but a rather urgent matter first. Swansea has explained. My cover, if you prefer, has been compromised.
Have any of the patients...
These poor souls have so...
The world would be a better...
You make me blush.
Pardon my boldness, Your Ladyship, but
As a newborn, your hunger for answers is rivaled only...
I'm a scientist.
I will gladly answer...
Dr. Swansea has commissioned me to be...
These past insufferable weeks...
What are your expectations?
As the newly appointed surgeon of this hospital, you are...
Who would...
Even if it were the case, and...
If we're dealing...
As immortal tradition doth dictate, all fangs and...
Please continue.
My embarrassment in this matter is eclipsed only by my...
I'll take care of it.
If that was the case...
I'll meet that woman now.
My life... As...
What is this? Who are you? Get out of my room.
There's no need for alarm, madam. I'm Dr. Reed, the new surgeon.
Preposterous. Dr. Reed, you say? I don't...
Please, calm down, madam. I assure you that I am highly...
How brave. Threatening an old defenseless woman. You know how long I've been a...
Harriet Jones? Indeed.
Oh, better than any...
I heard there have been some
Blackmail? Wait.
If I didn't know better, Miss Jones, I'd be inclined...
God's honest truth, Doctor. It's just the way it is here. Most of these
You seem to know more about...
That's it. Blame the old and...
I assure you...
Debauchery, then? Nurses Crane, Hawkins, Brannigans, whores, all of them. They can't keep their legs shut.
Really? Well, if you...
This is your business, Doctor, not...
Thank you for your time, Miss Jones. You... The patients and staff might know something. I'll start my investigation with them.
If only there were more of us, with less...
Good evening, Nurse Hall.
Good evening, Dr. Reed.
Pepper, are you sure?
To become a nurse was a little girl's dream. But in the end...
You should be proud.
Maybe you're right. But at the moment...
What steps?
I don't...
And what about...
For Milton...
If you...
On the contrary...
Milton cheats patients out of their money at this hospital, Pippa. Are you his accomplice?
Yes, I am.
Is this your definition of being...
No. It is my definition of...
Whose idea was...
What difference does it make?
Answer my question. Why do you do...
Why not?
How can you be a...
I could ask you the same...
What can you tell me about the strange man visiting one of the nurses during her shift?
Let me guess. You spoke with that old shrew, Harriet Jones.
No matter how...
Who says I don't care for her? Hate is what...
She could have been...
That old witch will end up in hell soon enough. Who cares if a nurse finds some happiness where she can?
Goodbye, Nurse Hall.
Oula. J'ai les voisins qui font les travaux. Non,
Good
c'est
evening,
comme ça que je voulais.
Dr. Reed.
Goodbye, Good evening. Have you heard...
I have no time for...
Goodbye, Doctor. Good evening, Nurse.
Good evening.
Tell me, nurse, did you know Dr. Tippett was a...
I suspected this behavior for some time, but never dared to ask him...
Do you...
Of course I don't approve.
And what if he doesn't?
Then we'll have to cut...
Why would he...
Don't you know you doctors...
Do you consider yourself...
I wouldn't dare, Dr. Reed.
What can I say?
And for hiding them as...
Do you know if any of...
The people who...
Oh putain, je pense qu'après cette quête, je vais arrêter. Hein.
I've never heard of such a thing.
Goodbye, nurse. Call me...
Je peux pas continuer comme ça pour le live. Hein.
Please, sir.
What's going on? I'm Dr. Jonathan Reed from the...
Oswald and myself were both in...
How long have you been searching?
I can't go there.
Don't be ashamed. What can you...
His name is Oswald.
What can you...
I'm Oswald's...
This is...
We were looking for...
What?
He went down by...
I have all the...
Thank you.
You're sure you don't come back with me?
Nah, I have to see someone at the hospital.
Be careful. You look so bad they may keep you as a patient.
Fuck 'em. I don't like hospitals or doctors.
Well then, when you go back to Whitechapel, you may find this useful.
What is it?
A pass for a free medical exam by the best nurse available. Just read it.
I don't read well, but thank you, I guess.
Putain, le voisin qui fait des travaux pile à ce moment-là avec la perceuse. Avec la scie circulaire. Ouais, non, on va... Voilà. On va retourner en haut. Attends, c'est un bug de la quête ou... J'ai bien l'impression. On va se reposer pour level up. J'ai 2000 points, enfin j'ai 2500 points à attribuer. Hop, et après j'arrêterai le live. Déjà plus d'endurance. Putain. Plus de vie. Hop. Ça, c'est fait. Ok. Je les ai soignés, ça a diminué. The fuck. Grave. Stable. Stable. Mais limite en grave. En fait, c'est ça, quand je serai au boss final, et c'est ce que je vais faire, je pense, quand je serai au boss final, je buterai tout le monde. Ce sera plus pratique pour moi. Un de fatigue, mais je crois que je l'ai déjà. Ouais. Je vais m'arrêter là pour aujourd'hui. Lundi, on se fera un peu de Dreamlight et de Cult of Lamb. Du coup, à lundi pour le live à 14h. Bye.